Again. Okay, now I'm gonna admit all.
Yep.
All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Here we go.
I always feel like the Brady Bunch when that happens. Boop, 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 boop. Good morning. Wow,
All right,
this is
welcome
our first
to
Serger Club
Serger Club. Yeah.
this year.
It's great to see
And
everybody.
we're in our
popping
new
in here.
room.
Oh yeah. Well, this is our second time in the third time in the new room, right?
But our first club in the new room.
That's right.
Can everybody hear us?
Oh, good.
Do we sound nice?
We
and
got new
clear?
microphones too.
We got new microphones. We're hoping the camera doesn't crap out on us today.
Yeah.
So yay.
Yeah, we're testing out some new equipment. So good morning and
Good. See,
Thanks for
we
joining us.
sound good.
oh good. Wow.
First time for everything.
Right. There's a first time.
Oh,
So we've converted a space down in the East Aurora basement to a specific virtual classroom. So you'll be seeing more of this.
mhm.
You don't really see everything right now with this camera shot, but we've got a nice little nook here, and we've got some more work to do, but we're club ready this morning.
That's right. We were hoping to be club ready at the beginning of October, but
Yeah,
things
things
take-
don't always go the way we
uh-oh,
hope. So we roll with the punches
we
and
sure do.
still chipping away, getting things sorted within
Uh-huh.
our virtual classroom. So Serger Club 2021-2022. Welcome back, everyone. For those that have been with us the past couple years, and if you're new to Serger Club, well, you either bought a new Serger or you chose to jump in, and we greatly appreciate all scenarios. So thank you. We have Carol Clothier kicking off Serger Club. So thank you very much, Carol, with the Jelly Roll quilt
And more,
and more. That's right.
because she did more than just the jelly roll.
That's
quilt.
right. And I think as we keep learning, there's so much you can do with your Sergers.
Absolutely.
And well, I don't want to steal any of Carol's thunder.
No.
You'll see here shortly. All right.
Let's kick it off with our.
Yeah, we're going to jump into what's going on here at Aurora Sewing Center, and
Because we have always something going on.
then into our surgeon share. Okay, so for those that haven't taken sewing club or embroidery club, I wanted to just show you, we've been hard at it trying to get back in a place where we were pre-COVID. And I don't know that any of us will ever get back to pre-COVID in a lot of ways, but I think we've all learned a lot over the past, 18 plus months. And a long story short, Sewing Times hasn't been created for many, many months now. So this is a start to that. So I first want to welcome or introduce to you behind the camera is Leanne Deshays. She is our marketing coordinator, and she's been drinking from a fire hose the past, since the end of August, really.
Like, 6
She's
weeks.
joined us, and we've had Alyssa and Scott did such a bad job with marketing during for about a 6-month period there.
So I gave up my license and said, here, someone else do it.
So Leanne's not only learning the ins and outs of Aurora Sewing Center, she's well versed on the graphic arts and other marketing aspects, but trying to understand what we did before, why we did it, and then how to make it better. And here's an example of that, where we're trying to make our class schedule a little bit more digestible. It's been on, and it will continue to be on in a calendar format on our website.
And like all the class descriptions on the website. Absolutely.
Yes. So this is just a quick summary so you can kind of see what's happening, when it's happening. And it's not just classes, there's events rolled in there. You can see the Facebook Lives, which are our virtual sales that we've been running over Facebook Live, and the in-store classes as well. So
each one has their own color and it will explain, and you'll know where and what is going on
Yes.
for what class.
So good, quick summary, cursory overview. You want to dive in and learn a little bit more about, I don't know, I see Thursday, the 21st, the casserole hot pad Zoom class. Well, then you can go to the website and click on, get into the calendar, click on that, and more detail will pop up there. And then you can register for the class. The other aspect I think we quickly forget. Sometimes the easiest way to get all your questions answered about a class or a future supply list or whatever is just call the store,
Yes.
either store, and they can look very quickly at the details and answer your questions fairly, instantaneously. So
Yes, it's a lot easier with a conversation over the phone.
yeah, especially when it's a what if
Mhm.
conditional question that can really spur into maybe more information that would be of higher value to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see. So that's one of the things we've been working on. Just a quick touch on upcoming class or clubs. We got Joanne Sharp coming in 2 weeks. Why don't you tell us a little about
Joanne
Joanna?
is, she was a Bernina ambassador, so she really knows a lot about the Bernina sewing machines, but what she loves to do is basically art with sewing. So she is free motion. She will show you all of her free motion and making her own designs on fabric, and then how to color or paint or any of that on this on our projects. She is coming here in person, and she will virtually be showing this club from 2 to 5. But in the morning, like we've explained, we do have in-person sessions. Scott and I will be calling from the VIP list to see if you are wanting to sit in the classroom. You do have to be fully vaccinated to participate in the in-store session. And then the next day, Joanne is staying with us, and there is a hands-on class that she will teach you the art and free motion. There is the $89.99 for the class. There is a kit included, and you bring your machine, you'll bring your supplies. She will supply the art stuff, and she will help you make that project or the writing on the bottom. She has those other projects, how to free motion and create your own.
So something entirely different.
Totally different. I met her 2 or 3 years ago at one of the Bernina convention, and she was just a bull of fire and artsy and creative and bubbly. And I said, I've kept her in my head for 3 years, and I really wanted to bring her in.
Yeah. One thing, just to go back on the club session. So the morning of Wednesday, the 10 a.m. to 1, we'll do an in-store session. We're going to call the VIP members. The VIP members that want to join, we'll put you on our attendance list. Let's say we don't get everybody on there. There will still be phone calls made on the sewing club list. So we'll just keep going down until we fill up the
Classroom,
the in-session classroom. And then after that in-store session's done, from 2 to 5, we're going to give Joanne, probably an hour to eat lunch.
have a cracker.
Maybe 15 minutes, something like that. And then we're going to come back down here and we're going to do the club session virtually for those that don't want to come in or
don't even live in Buffalo.
Or are not local, or that we just couldn't put that many people in the classroom. So there. Yeah. And I do know on the November 4th, we have several people have already signed up. So if this is something on your radar, I would encourage you to jump in, because I think this is going to fill up quickly.
Yeah, and it is limited. Our classroom is only so big. So we only can have so many people.
All right. So then we're on to Embroidery Club the following Wednesday, November 10th, virtual with Nikki. And this is Santa and Spring and Pillows. Okay, tell us about it.
All right, so Annalie Scott designs the Santa pillow and then the spring pillow, but Nikki will show you so many more ways of using those items or those designs other than just the pillows. She has been working very hard on making other projects, and I might be showing something special with those projects during
Oh,
that
boy.
club. Oh boy, yeah. So that is, I'm excited. He has been very, very popular the past couple of weeks, you know,
Who's he?
the Santa Claus.
Oh,
The Santa Claus pillow. So we're excited to have this. This has been, Nikki has been talking about this pillow for over a year. So I finally said, okay, Nikki, I'll let you have your club.
good,
So
good.
yes, very excited about that. And he is cute. Santa
All right.
Claus.
So then we go on to the following Serger Club, which is
Gail.
November 17th with Gail Yellen. Now, Gail, she has, I don't know if you recall, last year's club with Pam Massey.
Yeah, that's what it was.
We used one of Gail's patterns. So Gail is not just, she's an expert on the Serger. She does patterns. She does she's written several books, some of which we've had out in the store and past Serger clubs because they're very detailed and provide great reference to using the Serger in a lot of different ways. So Gail will be doing club with us in store, similar to the way we described Joanne Sharp's club, and then virtually in the afternoon, the 2 to 5. And then the following day,
She's gonna stay with us also and do it's called her hands-on class, which is Surge It Table Runner. And she will teach you all of her techniques. She's got a special little stitch that she came up with and making this cute little table runner. The class is $69.99, and then there is additional fee for a kit. We haven't had
sorted
all that out yet.
Yeah.
So details on the kit price will soon come, but the class is $69.99. We have limited space on that. The class will be in the East Aurora store. So I'm excited because when we met up with her, she was telling us all this information on this table runner and this special technique she came up with.
Yeah, and Gail's a lot of fun.
She is.
So I look forward to having her out.
She's very informative on the Serger.
Yes.
I was really impressed with that. How much?
And she knows both. She's been very in depth with Baby Lock for a long period of time. She's very close with Pam Massey, so now she's very knowledgeable on the L8 series with Bernina. So she knows the Sergers in and out. So there you go. And the one thing about the hands-on Serger class is when you have a Serger, you have the ability to have an extra table or two. So we'll have, even though it's limited space, we'll have the ability to have a few extra people
Correct.
in because of the size of the machine versus, say, free motion.
Yes.
So, all right. Okay, for the embroiderers out there, Bernina is hosting a free webinar talking about the features and functions of the new version 9 Designer Plus. There's 2 different time slots. You have to be registered to watch them live, or there'll be a recording available if you can't make those times. So if it's of any interest, encourage you to sign up so at least you have that detail to jump in. And then we're back at it with a virtual event with Dime Applique Affair. This is a new one. Haven't done this before. This is talking about different techniques to do applique. Satin stitch, E-stitch I learned last week is the buttons,
the blanket
stitch, the blanket
not
stitch.
the button stitch.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. See?
You just slipped, you dumb Carol.
And then a raw edge stitch, which I don't know that one. But
It's a decorative stitch and it doesn't close the edges. It keeps the edges raw on the design. Just a straight
Oh,
stitch, a beam
okay.
stitch.
But they have some, a different insight on this coming from the embroidery side. Ashley Jones, she's taught many of she's been in store before on a variety of times with in-store events, a few years back, and now it's done several virtual programs. And I find her very informative and easy to follow during the virtual programs. So I always enjoy having her part of Aurora Sewing Center. So this is a free program. Again, it will be available for recording if that time slot doesn't work for you. I believe it's available for 48 hours. And then you get that nice snowflake embroidery design free if you sign up. So not bad. Now for the quilters out there, we have a Sew Steady program, another free virtual event. This is, I think, just the day after, November 5th. This is ruler work for beginners. And there'll be giveaways, and it's free. And if you sign up, you'll have access to the recording for multiple weeks. I believe it's 4 weeks.
Wow.
So nice, because it's going to be a great reference. Now, it's 2 hours long, so you may get to a point where you'll want to just take a break and come back and watch the recording if you're truly a beginner and have never done any ruler work. So it just may be a lot to digest. But there you go. I think we're excited to host this, and look forward to this with Sew Steady. And I don't know if some of you may recall, we had Paula Reed scheduled to come in more than once. I think it was last
April. It was supposed to be April.
Spring. Yeah, I don't.
Weeks before we got shut down.
You think about COVID, and all of a sudden that
Seems
18
like 10
months
years.
just squeezes into like 3 weeks in my head. But we scheduled her to come in the spring of 20.
Then we went to
would have
the
been
summer.
2020. I don't even know.
Yep.
When we got shut down, and then we pushed her for like the fall, I think, or in the midsummer, because we had so many people sign up for her program, because she was not just going to teach sewing club. She was then going to have a hands-on for a couple days. Yeah, a couple different sessions. That's how the level of interest was. And then, of course, that didn't happen because we were still muddling through shutdown and not being able to have anyone in the store. So long story short, as we have encountered several times, she's got to the point where she actually retired and said, okay, I'm out. I'm done traveling. There's too much going on with this whole COVID thing. And,
she won't be joining us.
Yeah, too bad. Because she's a West Coaster. She had a lot of experience. A lot of our dealer friends across the country had recommended her. And well, we lost out, folks. But this was the next best thing, and we wanted to get this off
Schedule. Yeah, get in so you guys can.
So, yeah.
Ooh,
what's going on with this?
I don't know what's going on with this. This Saturday, in this room, in the East Aurora store, will be happening this week again, is my Facebook Live fabric sale or product sale, because it's.
Yeah, for those that haven't done it before, we're saying it's a fabric sale because we figured that's of most interest. We have a lot of great discounted fabric, but
we have all kinds of things. Embroidery. There's things that I find in the basement that were a lucky find. You never know what I find down here.
But there's embroidery designs, there's
fabric, there's notions, patterns, you name it. We just go on. It's kind of like an auction in a way. I'll put a product in front of the camera, tell you a little bit about it, give you the price. And if you have interest, you put your name in and the name of the item. And if you win, we'll call out your name. And then at the end, we ask you to call our store to cash out, either that day or the Monday, because sometimes last week we went for a while and sometimes we close before we get to wrapping it up. So it's really fun. It's something different. There are really good sales on there. So if you're looking for a sale, that is definitely something to join. It's not old stuff. We will cut new fabrics and pull out new things so you can see what's going on at the store if you can't get in. So it is definitely a huge array of product,
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
And we kick off at 9 a.m. Alyssa's always late, so maybe it's 9:05 or
It is.
something. But we'll go for a couple hours. So if you are a sleeper and you wake up on a Saturday at 11,
We'll still be on.
you just jump in.
Yep.
Go to our Facebook page. You'll see the video, and you'll
Just make sure
wonder.
it says live.
You'll miss a lot of our jokes between 9 and 11, but you
Yep.
can always jump in and get
Yes.
some specials then.
Yep.
All right, for the Serger folks out there are several bundles and specials. I just threw a couple in here. One, if you are thinking of a Triumph, well, there is a great package that Baby Lock has assembled for the remainder of the year. You get the Triumph, you get the 29-piece foot kit, which is huge. You'll see throughout Serger Club that will be very handy. A lot of great attachments and feet. You get the trolley, you get the extension table. You do get a thread kit and the Serger Fun Club. I believe you get free 6 months to that. And then, of course, the SOED online Baby Lock classes, you get access for 60 days. So that's a huge package. I forget the dollar value behind it, but nice bundle if you're thinking about a Baby Lock Triumph. And of course, if you are looking to upgrade, well, give us a call or stop in and just talk to us. We'll figure out what we can do on a trade-in. So, and then competitively speaking, Bernina also has awesome program and pricing for all three of their L8 series. They got the L850 overlocker, now the L860 overlocker with the intuitive computer screen, which is very easy to understand the stitches, how to set up the stitches, how to fix your stitches, those type of things. There's a lot of good tutorials in there and very self-explanatory once you get in front of the machine. And then the L890, which is the top of the line, and it is not just an overlocker, it also has the cover chain side of the machine. So all three machines, if you purchase one of them, you get the big book of serging, the suitcase, and then an accessory kit with a variety of feet. And that's now through the end of the year. So
it is, I took one home because I had to make a project, and I will tell you, I fell in love with the Bernina Serger.
you took the L890.
I took the L890.
She stole my L890.
I did steal his L890. But let me tell you, the screen to show you how to thread that machine was awesome. And on the first try, I did my test stitch and voila. And
Yeah,
I was a pro.
It really, without thinking hard about it, it makes a beautiful stitch.
Beautiful stitch.
And it's all these L series are very solid.
Absolutely.
So,
and then the thread getting sucked into I don't know. I was like a little kid on Christmas.
I know as a dealer for years, well, first off Mom and then Jim, and then you and I got involved with helping, develop the L series. I mean, you and I were kind of the tail end of the whole process, but as dealers, we were waiting for a long time for the L8 series to be rolled out. We didn't know it was called the L8 series at the time, but the new Bernina overlocker, and boy, they did a bang up job. They did it right. They didn't rush it to market.
Correct.
They did it right. And it's nice, solid machine. So. All right.
Surgeon share. I was just going to surgeon share.
This is Serger Club. It's surgeon share. Yeah.
Woohoo. All right.
Okay, let's see what we got. I think we got a light load here. So ladies, next week or next month.
I was
Sorry.
going to say next week.
Well,
we have a
they
week
can start
off.
posting them next week.
Again, you can bring your projects to the store and drop them off the Monday before club. What we're asking is when you do bring it to the store, can you just put your name on it, explain a little bit about your project, but also where you'd like to pick up the project, because I do pick them up from one store and bring them to another, because that's where we're hosting. So just put on their ASC or WSC, just so I make sure I return it, because I will feel really bad if your project gets lost in the abyss. So that is really important. And then if you're going to post on the behind the scenes with Aurora Sewing Center, please use the hashtag that's right there. The one in big, black, bold letters, Aurora Sewing Center Club, all one word, no space. And then if you want in your description, right, this is for Serger Club, this is for Embroidery Club, whatever you're trying to explain. If that hashtag is in there, we should not and will not miss your project and be able to do it in the sew and share.
If it's not in there,
we
that's
might
all
miss
bets
it.
are off.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I mean, we may still find it, but
Yeah, it takes a while. And I love all of your projects and I love every one of you, but I do not sit in front of the Facebook on behind the scenes and scroll for hours. And that's what Facebook does, is they put things in
they do their own
old,
thing.
they mix it all up. So it's not just recent posts. They pop things in. So your new thing that you posted might be 9 pages back and I'm not going to find it. So if you use that hashtag, I search it and I find it, and then I put you in the whirligig. So it's really important that you use that.
Yeah.
See that one right there. All right. Suzanne Falkowski, she made this quilt from my virtual sale. That's all fabric that she's purchased from my virtual sale. September 2001 quilting was done with the designs, and she even used her embroidery machine to do some quilting with her large magnetic hoop.
Ah,
Yeah,
nice.
look at it.
Now, I do want to comment. Not only is that beautiful, but that I believe she had made. No, I'm sorry. I'm incorrect in saying that. I was going to say that was with the Lori Hernandez 5-week surgery program. That's not it.
Nope.
But while I got Lori Hernandez's 5-week quilt Serger creative techniques class in my mind, if you just finished the 5-week creative techniques class, we are kicking off the quilt class, the 5-week quilt class this weekend. And I know we have a smaller group, and Lori was able to work with us to run that class. But if you haven't signed up already, the prerequisite is that you've taken the Serger technique class. That way you're hitting the ground running and not stumbling and getting frustrated. That program kicks off this weekend. So if you're interested, give us a call and sign up.
Yep.
Sorry, I meant to mention that earlier.
Then we have Ann Flanders. Have a bag like she received a bag like this years ago, and she decided to create a smaller one for her purse. And without a pattern, she made it all on her own by duplicating it. She said it's a little wonky, but you know what? No one would know. I didn't notice until I read that you said you had some mistakes. So, Ann, you did a great job.
Looks great.
Jan Inwards made this shirt, which is from the Lori Hernandez Surge Fun Club. And I think
It looks comfy.
It does. And she wrote to somebody like the sizing's great. It was easy and simple.
The sizing was a little large.
Oh, little large. Okay. But she said it was great to make. So look at that.
Perfect for going into the holidays.
It is. Sue Boswell made a baby quilt with Cuddle. And hold on, Kit pieced with her 4-thread overlocker. And then after watching Deb Cannon's video, she apologized that she forgot to take a picture before it was presented as a shower gift, but really cute. You can kind of see it under the little, I'm going to say those are onesies, but I don't want to misspeak, but really cute. And Minky is fun to play with.
Yep. And always perfect for little ones.
It is. And then
let's get us.
There we are. I have someone dropped off, Tina Belser. She dropped off a pillow. She made this pillow on her Serger to match a quilt she has made. And if you see, this is all, thank you, Leanne. She rolled hemmed everything. She made little basket weaves and weaved it, and that's the front. She ruffled on her Serger and rolled hemmed the edges. And she even rolled hemmed the envelope back to finish the edge. Isn't that great? Instead of doing a hem, she just rolled hemmed
And
it.
she has the two
She
ruffles.
has two ruffles.
Which really
yeah.
gives it a nice,
Really pops.
a nice pop.
Great
yeah,
job.
The two colors. I like that.
Great job. Really, really. You guys did great, but I expect more Serger projects next month. Come on, ladies. Get those Sergers running. After today, you're going to want to make a quilt. You have options.
Oh, we got to get the whirligig out. Listen.
It's right over here. Do you think I'd forget this? This is like the fun part. Except for a little sad with some
It's
papers.
light. It's very
It's-
light, ladies.
Chances are for my little ladies. And we're pulling two, don't forget.
Yeah.
Don't look.
I can't find them. Suzanne Valkowski,
Woo-hoo!
congratulations. We'll bring your bag
other
over to
store?
Williamsville. And where are they? Where are they? And Tina Belser, congratulations.
Tina, that will be in East Aurora for you.
Wonderful. All right.
Congratulations. All right. Well, you know what time it is?
It's time to get off the stage,
It's
let Carol
Carol.
do her thing.
It's Carol's time. All right. Let me
Okay.
just move everything.
Yeah.
I'll disconnect.
Take it away, Carol. Give us a minute here while we.
Shut off our microphones. Maybe we're not.
Okay, hello, everybody.
Can you hear her?
Nice to see everyone.
Can you hear all right?
Can you hear me? Can I have some thumbs up,
Okay.
maybe? Okay. All right, so this is from a jelly roll. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is your stash. How many of us have crazy amounts of fabric that just kind of sit there and they don't get used a lot? And actually, I think you would start using your fabric more if you put it into groups. I have a friend who has a 1.5 inch pile. When she finishes a project, she cuts all of her extra pieces into 1.5 inch and she has them in a bin. When she needs a project with 1.5 inch, she can just pull them out and use them. Jelly rolls are nice. They're all usually from one line. They match nicely. But if you want to do something scrappy and you want to use your own, the easiest way to do it is using your Acu strip cutters. The strip cutters come in many, many different sizes. So you can go ahead and you might decide you want to, this quilt doesn't have to be done in 2.5. You might decide to do it in 6-inch strips, 1.5 inch strips, whatever. But cutting the strips makes it a lot easier to do. And your strip cutter can cut more than just strips. It can also cut squares and it can also cut triangles. So what you do, anybody who's in Eileen's strip class knows how to do it. You're just going to take your fabric and you're going to make your fabric a little bit wider than the piece. You're going to lay your fabric on. You're going to fold it back and forth. You can have up to 6 layers. You cannot go beyond the cutting line here and the cutting line on the bottom. Then you're just going to lay your mat on top, put her through, and it's going to cut your strips. In all your spare time, you can just take all those stash pieces, all them little pieces that are sitting in a bin, cut them into usable strips. Now, if I wanted to, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use these for my binding. You're going to kind of get rid of your static, slide that off, and you have strips. Now, if I had a project that wanted, instead of strips, if I wanted squares, I could lay this back on here again and cut it. And it would cut I would have 2.5-inch squares. I would just, let me get it so it's, I would just lay it across here. Got all the cutting lines, I would get 2.5-inch squares. If I laid it along an angle and cut it, I would get diamonds. So even though it's a strip cutter, it's very versatile to do different things. And if you need a lot of binding, sure makes your life easier to just be able to cut your binding strips and have them perfect. So that's the first thing. The next thing is we're going to start talking about this quilt here. Like I said, any size fabric will work. Basically, all you're doing is you're starting off with 2 pieces of fabric in the center, and then you're just going round and round and round, playing with different serger stitches and adding things on to your quilt. If you have different stitches that you want to play with, different stitches you want to try, you can really have some fun. And some of your fabrics are sewn right sides together for your stitches, and some of them are sewed wrong sides together. So you have to pay attention to the directions in the pattern so you know which way you're doing it. So a couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, preparing your fabric. If you don't have one of these misters, it's going to be one of your best friends. I love my Best Press. I buy it by the gallon. And, but the Best Press sprayer, sometimes you'll get a glob. Sometimes you just get a stream. Even when you say a mist, this will always give you a nice mist, not just for something like Best Press, but also if you use water when you're ironing. But this gives you a really, really nice mist. They're reasonable. I wanted to show it because I have 2, one with water, one with Best Press, and I use them all the time.
If you have the clear one, I highly recommend just writing on there.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely write on it if you haven't water or Best Press, but you know once you spray. If you use water and you didn't mean to, it's okay, but the Best Press, yeah. The other thing is, this is a Serger toolkit. It has a 6.5-inch fabric control tool, which is kind of like a stiletto, but it's got some, I don't know if you can see, it's got some different angles on the stiletto. So it's nicer for the serger. And then it's got a seam ripper, double-eyed needles, which is what you use when you are finished and you want to bury your threads, and then a nice double curved scissors. This is a real nice kit for the serger. You can keep it in this box and keep it nice and close. The other thing I asked Scott and Alyssa to get was, this is a Serger needle threader. And this is mine that I have had. I don't know, put it along this maybe. I have no idea how long I've had this, but I brought it in. It had no name on it, nothing. And I said, can you find these for me for club? And they did. If your serger doesn't have automatic threading, or if later on I'm going to be doing where I'm using a size 90 needle and a thicker thread, these are awesome. It has and I have mine bent the way I like it. Can you see the bend?
So the tip you can.
Yeah. It's straight, but I bent mine because it's very easy to just stick from the back and stick that through the needle, pop your thread in, pull it out. Probably even a sewing machine or anything. It's just for threading a needle. It's a really, really handy tool. And it has a little piece of kind of like hose that covers it and keeps that little metal thing nice. And like I said, I think I've had this since my first Bernina Serger in like 1970. So I'm really happy that they're still making it, but it's made by Dritz. And they're in stock at both stores, and they're very reasonable, $3.99, and then you get your discount. But it's something very nice to have when you're going to be using a size 90 needle and threading, or it'll work on another needle too. Another thing you might have noticed I have new here today is this serger tray. If you're setting your serger on a table and not down in a cabinet, This is awesome to give you all that extra surface area when you're working. So nothing is pulling, nothing is being dropped, nothing is getting caught inside when it gets folded over because you don't have room. So this is an awesome table, and they also have an awesome deal on it today. So that's something else you might consider. I just wanted to kind of show you all the different gadgets and things. I'm definitely a gadget person. So we're going to start talking about this. I'm going to be using my lace applicator foot. And the lace applicator foot is adjustable. This area right here with the screw, you can move it back and forth to different positions. They call it a lace applicator, but the nicest part of it is, the nicest part about the lace applicator is the fact that it keeps you nice and straight and even as you're stitching. You're using it as a guide. So you can move it back and forth. I have it set up right now so that my guide rides right along where my blade is. But you can move it to different positions where you want it. So your lace applicator foot is very helpful anytime you want to keep a nice straight seam. So going to construction, we're going to start off with 2 squares of the same size. I started with 2.5 by 2.5. They're going to be, for this particular stitch, they're going to be wrong sides together. And I'm starting off, what the pattern does, I'll show you a picture of the pattern. This is the pattern. What the pattern does is as you're working, it tells you gives you different stitches to use. You don't have to follow these stitches in order. You can play with any decorative stitch that you want. Now, when you're working on this, the way I did this one, I just did the centers, added pieces on either side, added pieces on either side, kept going like that. But you could also do it maybe log cabin. Now, depending upon the type of person you are, you can do it, you can measure and cut the next piece. Or you can just take a strip, stitch it, and cut off the excess. That's kind of what I did. So the first stitch that we're doing on my center is a 3-thread overlock narrow. So I've got it all set up. This stitch shows up in your stitch guide. And I have my fabric wrong sides together as I'm stitching this. Now, as you're doing it, I just cut it off exactly. You don't want to do that. You want to leave your tails until you sew the next one so that as you're playing with this, nothing comes undone. I'm going to open this up and the stitch actually, I can't see the screen, see this. Stitch actually stands up. So you can decide that you want to press it to one side or the other. And what I have 2 decorative threads in my loopers. Upper and lower looper are both decorative threads. And I'm using them with my disc. If you don't have one of these, if you don't have these gray discs, you definitely want to purchase them. They sit nicely up and on your spool. If you tried to put, I don't have another one. If you tried to put this spool just on here, or even on here with on top of one of the thread racks, it's not going to go nicely. This gives you a cushion, and it's going to really help when you're doing these kind of spools. Okay, so that's definitely that stitch. The next stitch that I did was that's kind of the whole center here. I just kept changing threads. This one has a little bit of sparkle in it. I think the yellow variegated came out really nice. It really stands out. Then the next stitch that I went to is a flat lock wave, a 2-thread flat lock wave. Say that 3 times fast. And you can see it. The threads definitely made a difference. When I used this pink and purple, which are just the spaghetti threads, it came out a lot smaller than when I went with the thicker threads and the fancier threads. So whatever thread you're using is also going to give you a whole different look as you're stitching along. Then I just went to just some straight stitching, just a 3-thread overlock just for piecing, which I use a lot for piecing. And then I played with my outside edges. So let's go with the center stitches on the 2-thread flat lock wave. When you're setting up your machine, you're going to use your 02 needle on standard thread. You're going to put a length of 1 to 2. Remember, your length is your lower knob. It's length, lower, and larger. So you can remember which knob that is. And then your stitch selector is going to go on D. And your width is going to be on M, which has been described to me many times what it is. It's like meridian or something like that. It's some standard type, whatever, but it's M. We're also stitching wrong sides together. I have decorative thread in the looper and I'm on my wave. So I have just kind of changed my settings, but I also need to change my threading because we are going to thread this totally differently than normal. And I'll tell you, there's so many different stitches that you can come up with. When I was at Serger training, somebody threaded their machine wrong. And she called us all over to see the stitch because we all loved it. So it's going to be we have it all written down, and Baby Lock has a new stitch now. And it was just simply, it just came up. So along that line, after you set up your machine to stitch something, take a piece of scrap and run it and make sure that it's a stitch that you want and that it's the length you want and the width you want, because different threads, you're going to get different looks. So you want to make sure that you like what it is. So my upper looper thread is going to go into the right needle position. Up here. You can hear my little click, so I know it's in there. And it's going through right needle. But then it's not going into the needle. It's still going into my upper looper port. It's just a different tension up here. Then the thread needle is going to go, even though I'm using needle 2, it's going to go in needle 1 and then along to my needle. Since I have my needle threader, I can thread nice and easy. The thing with a lot of times when I use my needle threader, depending what's on there, you have to be careful that you don't catch anything. You want to make sure that's coming through and pulling it to the back. And then my upper looper, excuse me, my lower looper is just going where it always does. And I've set my machine on wave. I pull my looper threads all the way to my lap. And that's pretty much a nice amount of thread to go through. I don't like the way that went. It was kind of a little loose. I'm gonna try it again. I don't know. It's like my curse. The lower looper doesn't like me on any machine. It's the one that I usually have to read it. It came through fine. So I'm going to go to serging. And then just going to add another piece along the edge of this. Even though I told you to do a trial, I'm not. Well, let's just put a piece in there. And then you have to check on the pattern for each one and see. Doesn't sound good. Every time in front of everybody, I have problems with my threading. Threading. It's my lower looper again. Maybe we could get Alyssa like during these pauses to sing for us.
You don't want me to say.
That one looks much better. Yeah, you don't ever want me to sing. My daughter called me the other night and said, could I, my grandson, she has a new baby, he's 3 months old yesterday. And she said, he's been crying for an hour and a half. I don't know what to do. He's fed, he's changed, everything. Can you sing? Like, on the phone? She's like, yeah. Well, I tell you, I can put any baby to sleep because my voice is so bad, they go to sleep so they can stop listening. I didn't even get through one verse. What is going on? I didn't even get through one verse and he was out. Something is hitting here. I don't know what it is. It's okay when I'm stitching, yeah. But it didn't sound right. This is hitting the blade. Okay, so we're gonna get this machine looked at. No, okay, so let's just stitch off of here. Yeah, this is hitting. We're gonna have to get this machine looked at. And then, so I have a wave stitch, which you really can't see. Okay. Well, all right. That's what we have text for, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get that door looked at. But that's my, let me see my wave stitch. And you get a different look from the other side. I've got my wave. And then, so that's basically, you just have to remember your different stitching in that. The next section, I just used a 3-thread overlock wide, and that was my piecing. And then when I did the 2-thread flat lock wide stitch, that's when I switched to a 90 needle. And the 90 needle, when you're using a 90 needle, you can't use your automatic threader. It doesn't like the thick thread. It doesn't like going through the heavy needle. So that's when I used my Dritz needle thread. And I'm not going to make you watch me rethread for every different thing. When I get to my 2-thread flat lock, this is what my stitches are going to look like. And I played and I changed the colors. I kind of put some together with the pink, and then I did the purple. And then I finished with the orange when I actually attached it to the quilt. So this is kind of fun. And the way that these stitches work is they're actually hanging off the edge. And then when you pull it, you get that ladder look. And what's so fun about the ladder look is you can actually take and you can thread a piece of ribbon or a piece of yarn or something through there for a little decorative look to it. So that's basically just playing with the different stitches and different widths and lengths of fabric. And you have in your pattern, you have all the different directions. And then I didn't do my backing because I did want to be able to show you some of the back of some of the stitches on here. But this is the nice, we have a lot of nice wide backings upstairs now. So this is the backing that's going to go on this one. So that is everything on that one. Then the next thing, I was like, okay, this isn't very much for club. I want to throw in some more stuff. So I decided to do a t-shirt quilt on the Serger. Serger is perfect for a t-shirt quilt because let's face it, t-shirts are stretchy and ravelly, and it's so much nicer to be able to put it all together. And I had a whole bag of my daughter's t-shirts. And when this first started, I told Alyssa, oh, I'm going to use the Bills fabric and I'm going to go get some Bills shirts. Well, nobody in my family would give up a Bills shirt. And I wasn't going to go out and buy Bills shirts to cut up. So I went through the bag and I got some of her shirts from chiropractic school. So the way you start off with a t-shirt quilt is the first thing you have to do is figure out what part of the shirt do I want to use. There might be something on the sleeve you want to use, on the front, on the back, just a little piece here. If they're going to be all different sizes, different shapes, something like this t-shirt, she cut this up in the race that she was in. So there's hardly anything left here. So what I would do with this is I would go ahead and I would cut my circle after I had this stabilized and then applique this onto another piece of fabric that I would then use in the t-shirt quilt. Something like this one. This was a race, but if you're keeping it, you might want to also use the date from the back. So basically all you're going to do is you're going to take your t-shirt, you're going to decide what you're using on it. You're going to cut that piece. You're going to cut away that collar because you don't ever want to put that in there. It's going to be too bumpy. You're going to cut down your sleeves. You're going to cut it larger than how you're going to use it. Then you're going to take a piece of woven, and the one that we have, there's like, we've gone through several different brands as we went on, but we do have it right now on the bolt.
Yeah, behind the counter, and I can't think of the name.
So you can buy it by the bolt.
I want to say Dreamweave, but I could be making.
And it's been called Dreamweave. It's been called so many different, I mean, it was RNK, it was Alex Anderson, it was, everybody's come up with it. But what this is it's a nice woven piece and one side has fusible on it. This is also, if you're an embroiderer and you put this on the back of a piece of fabric, your embroidery will come up so much nicer. You're not using it in place of stabilizer, you're using it in addition to stabilizer. But you're going to take this and you're going to press it onto your shirt. Now with a shirt like this, I either have to press from the back or use a pressing cloth because this is an iron on. If I iron on top of this, I'm going to mess up my iron. I'm going to mess up my design. So I'm making it a little bit larger than what it needs to be. Then I'm going to decide what I actually need, adding a seam allowance, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out my design. So then you're going to have a piece that looks like this. And it's got your stabilizer on the back. And it's actually, it's no longer has the stretch that t-shirts have. You got a really nice firm piece of fabric to work with. And then you play. You lay it out on the floor, on a table. If you have lucky enough to have a design wall. If you don't have a design wall, one thing I found is the plastic tablecloths on the other side are flannel. And if you tape that up on a wall, things will lay on it really nicely and hang there. Sometimes you need a pin, sometimes they'll just stick. And then you can design your t-shirt. When you design your t-shirt, you're just going to go ahead and like this one, I put a piece of fabric there, added it to that. You're just going to kind of make like a little jigsaw puzzle and add pieces in where you want to. And because of the colors I chose, the Buffalo Bills fabric that's an exclusive to Aurora Sewing Center, kind of made it a little bit special. Now on this shirt, if I tried to cut straight across here, I would have lost some of my letters. So I had to keep the neckline in. So I just took a piece out of another t-shirt and serged it in. And that gave me that piece. And what's really fun about this is this trim edge. And what you do for the trim edge, take a 1.5 inch piece of fabric, fold it in half. It'd be easier if I did them down here.
Yeah.
Fold it in half. And then you do a wave stitch along the raw edge. And then you have your solid edge is what you are using when you are piecing it into the seam. So I'm piecing this. I have a nice finished edge that I'm piecing into my seam because I've covered my raw edge with that wave stitch. And these, they look, you know, kind of plain on the back. You've got your decorative stitching. I think this is something that I will probably use a lot. I wrote it into this pattern. And I think a lot of times if you want to add a little something, and the fact that you have a finished edge here, it would also work if you wanted to put it on top of something like, I mean, you could put it around the neckline on a onesie or a t-shirt or
This goes like.
no, goes
Oh,
like
see, that's what
this. You're stitching on the raw edge. So your folded finished edge is, you have that. So if you wanted to use this, you know, you could use it on a towel. You could use it so many places. Even if you didn't want to insert it, you could just top stitch along there and have it in there. And all the directions are in the pattern to finish that off. And you're going to just put a, then you're going to, I added a 4-inch border around the outside. And this one is all ready to go. And this is the nice wide backing that I chose for this one.
Both stores have wide backing, both stores have different wide backs. So they're not, both stores don't have the same wide backs. So if you're looking for something or different colors, you do have to come to both stores or call.
Do a shop hop.
Yep.
Have fun, go to both stores. Okay, the next thing I figured, well, if we're gonna be doing show serging on the, excuse me a second, how about just a plain old block? And I did pick a very old block. This is the bow tie. I can't really see it too good on the pattern, but
Now they can.
this is what a bow tie block looks like. It has a dimensional center. And this is maybe one of the first blocks I ever made. So the steps on this are, you start off by folding one piece in half and a piece of your backing and a piece of your bow. And then you're going to put another pieces on top opposite and sandwich them. Stitch that. So you have a piece that looks like this, which is like, okay, that's kind of weird.
Mhm.
Now you're going to stitch them together with this little opening in the middle. And if you look at some of the old patterns for this, it will tell you to put a little bit of fiber fill in here and stuff it. If you did that, then when you opened it up after you serged it, this would be puffy. But it's just kind of a fun block, and it's just showing you, you can do any block on your serger. When I did this, I just used a regular 3-thread. And what I'm going to do is, I'd like to show you a little bit about the Bernina, because that's what I did that stitching on. I took one home to play with it. And is there any way to, why don't we turn this around?
Turn around.
How about I move
Yep, we're gonna
Yep.
rearrange the row here.
here with us, folks?
Now, I took it home and I was like, okay, I don't know how to thread it. I don't know how to make it work. We use your foot pedal to thread, which totally fine. Then I put it on the screen for the tutorial screen and nothing would thread. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Well, I called the store and like, whoever, the girl who was working, it was a Saturday, didn't know either. She went over and played with the machine. Then she's like, you know what? Turn it on and turn it off. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I always used to do that. And when I turned it off and turned it on again, then it came up to my screen for threading and everything worked fine. So I learned that you cannot thread when you're on the tutorial screen. But the way this works, I'm just gonna come around so I can push some buttons.
Yeah. I don't know what side's best.
When you choose a stitch, I'll go back and when you choose a stitch, it's going to show you this. Well, first of all, I'll go back to choosing. You've got your menu to choose all your different stitches. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to choose your stitch. And it's going to tell you all your different things you have to do. When you say, okay, I'm good with that. Then it's going to tell you which of these are color coordinated up here. So my yellow thread on top. Got a little yellow marking on this is going to go with my, I'm going to make Alyssa keep moving.
It's okay. I'm just trying not to go fast. So you guys are getting
With my yellow dot down here.
Mhm.
And that's showing these are the settings that it has for my yellow dot. If I wanted to change my settings, I have a plus and a minus here. But so far, every stitch that I tried came up, I didn't want to adjust anything. Maybe if I was using some kind of a funky thread, then I might want to. It also gives you your yellow and your green markings here, green and your yellow. So everything, you're just kind of color coded and just kind of follow your color codes as you go through. If you want step by step, when you're doing this, like let's say, okay, it's telling me that the looper thread, the red, wraps the fabric edge too loose, and this is how I would fix it. I got questions. I can clear that, but it's you've got guided mode. When you go into guided mode, it takes you through step by step as you're doing everything. And then it has expert mode, which is just showing you how to thread and how to go through. When you're in guided mode, it's going to talk you through each and every threading that you're doing. It does have air threading. And like I said, you're using the foot pedal to do the air threading. It has a little catcher tray here. Show you the inside. All of your tools are inside here. Trying to think what else I wanted to say.
The thing that's nice about the Bernina air threading is you don't have to feed it an inch or two into the hole. You just hover over that hole, press the foot, and it sucks it right in. Like there's no trying to give it a little leeway. It just sucks it in, which was pretty.
So I'm
used to shoving it in. You don't need to.
So I wouldn't have any problem with my lower looper.
Correct, because it would just accept it.
So it's pretty intuitive, pretty simple to use. It has just has the 5 up here where your Triumph has the ability to do 8 threads. So it's pretty much personal preference, but for somebody just starting out and serging, I think that this would be
very user friendly.
Yeah. Okay, so I think
I like the fact that if you don't like, you're questioning your stitch, why it's loopy, why it's this, why it's that, it's giving you insight as to what possibly could be wrong.
Mhm.
And kind of guide you back to a baseline and get those fixes implemented.
so, and it does have a nice tray that gives you a little bit of extra stability here.
Which also pops off for.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like- oh,
Can you
yeah.
pop it? I can't. That's the other thing. And it also has a free arm, which is
Free
really
arm.
cool.
Which, if you're doing doing a sleeve, it would be really nice to have that free arm in order to do a sleeve. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of the Bernina, and there are 3 different models. This one is the top of the line. No?
That's not, that's a
Oh.
LA. They got
Oh, this is the
LA60.
L860, so this is the middle.
Middle. Mhm.
This is the middle version, so I can't imagine what else they'd add to make the top. But it's very nice. Like I said, I took it home and I played with it. My husband said, oh, well, you're buying it, right? And I'm like, no, I'm taking it back. I just wanted to learn it. And he said, but every time Barb sent you home with a machine, you bought it. Said, I don't have room. If I had room, yes, but how many machines can you have?
He said it was okay.
Oh,
Hold on, he was okay with.
Oh, no, I
Yeah, well, hold on, let us lock the door.
I don't have to ask when I buy things. If I want something, I buy it. But the last thing I wanted to show you is quilting, actually quilting on the Serger. But I think Scott and Alyssa are going to talk to you a little bit before we do that.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? All right, so we've had a few questions. We intentionally have not land blasted everyone with what the club deal or specials are. A, to make sure you're watching club. But B, we just thought, like, look,
Is yours on? Is it flashing blue? It's not flashing blue either.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
can you hear me now? I can't see thumbs up or anything, so someone's gonna,
Okay.
okay, good. Okay, so a couple minutes ago, we had extra special pricing on, no, I'm just joking. That was a bad joke, sorry. All right, what I was saying is Carol put a lot of energy into assembling the 3 different patterns for the jelly roll quilt, the bow tie quilt, and the t-shirt quilt. 3 separate patterns. If you want one, well, you get 15% off. They're normally $10.99, so that's $9.34 a pattern. But if you buy all 3 or buy any 2, you get 1 free. So that's the deal. Buy 2 of the patterns, you get 1 free. Okay. The other part is when we email out the recording, you are going to get in the email, you're going to see all the specials. So you don't have to scribble down all the pricing and all that. And you have today through Saturday at 3 p.m. to call the stores or come into the stores to take advantage of anything on the related to club specials. Okay. So buy 1 pattern, you get 15% off. Buy any 2 patterns, you get a free pattern. So that's 30+% off. The Triumph / the Baby Lock Triumph / Ovation extension table, the acrylic extension table. It's normally $119. It is $89, so 25% off of that. So if you're not using one of the Koala Serger studios, then the acrylic extension table is perfect to give you that extra quilting space, fabric space, so you're not dragging and fighting with your project as you stitch. You're making it moving along with ease, and it's nice and big. So I think it's 22 inches to the left. So, yeah.
18 by 22.
Yeah, 18 by 22 and a half. So it's a nice size extension table. And then the lace applicator foot, which provides that extra guiding with the way the foot is designed, is also 25% off. So I would say this: if you're a Baby Lock, Triumph, Ovation, Evolution owner, and you ever bought a foot kit, well, this foot should be included in that foot kit. But if you don't have the foot kit, there you go. You're going to want this foot. And the nice part about that, the guide is it's adjustable depending on what stitch you're doing, your width of your stitch, where your blade's set, etc. So with a screw, you can loosen it and reset it as you wish. And I always question, why do they call it the lace applicator foot? Because yeah, you can use it with lace, but you can do so much more with it. So I guess don't forget all the Serger threads, 15% off. That's your standard Madeira Serger thread. The decoratives, which are wonderful spaghetti and fruity, which are your 12 weights. And then also the Razzle Dazzle, which are your 8 weights. So all of those are, but let's not forget, and we don't spell it out in all these club flyers, fabric, 15% off now through Saturday at 3 p.m. A Notion that's not listed here, 15% off. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because several people are probably new to club, and we haven't really, maybe I'm going to blame Melissa. She hasn't just spoke about that. So
Well, it's anything that's discountable.
yeah,
If you're
anything.
a club member, you get 15% off.
Right. So that's one of the attributes of club, and then we're passing that on to you for joining us for the whole club season. Okay, best press. Well, best press. I think you'll see, if no matter what club you're in, you're going to see our teachers love it. I think they're going home and drinking this stuff. I don't know.
That's why they buy a gallon.
That's right. But I know Carol, and it's very useful, give you some stiffness with obviously quilting, but some of the bigger projects, you're going to see this being used throughout each of the clubs. So I would say, hey, look, if you don't have best press and you haven't used it, you probably want to buy it early on in club season. And gallon, if you get a gallon, yeah, it's a little pricey, but it's going to last you a while. And we're giving a free Misty spray bottle away if you buy a full gallon. So, that's, I don't know, Misty spray bottle, I think is, I don't remember, 11, 12.
And
something.
Scott,
Yeah.
I use it on my garments when anything I'm pressing. I mean, a lot of times, like you're doing a pair of pants
Mhm.
and you'll press the front and you press a crease into the back and you can't get it out, it's gone. And the main thing is your fabric, where the fabric is folded and you always have that fold line that you just can't get out with regular pressing.
Yeah.
One squirt of best press and it's gone.
Removes it.
It's
Yeah.
really nice.
And there's no sugar in it. So starch has
Sweet.
sugar in it.
Sweet.
And I heard this yesterday from Diane, when you use starch and people used to package it all up, silverfish would be eating their projects because of the sugar in it. There's no sugar in best press. So you won't get any animals.
So you don't have to worry about the bugs.
I was like, look, but I learned that yesterday.
Interesting. I
Didn't
didn't know that either.
You learned something new.
Okay. All right. And then last but not least, if you're an AccuQuilter, well, 30% off any AccuQuilt purchase that's $50 or more, which, well, these strip dies, they're, $100, I think, basically, 99 something. So you're going to get 30% off any of the strip dies. Now, if you bought a cutter or an AccuQuilt cutter, whether it's the Go Big or the Go Cutter, they come with the strip die. Most bundles come with the strip die. Now, what I was looking at with Carol before club started was, well, I got the 2.5-inch strip, but that, I want to make a bigger quilt. So can I use the 4-inch strip or the 6-inch strip or the 5.5-inch strip? And the answer was, of course you can, Scott. You can do whatever you want, Scott. So So, I don't know, whether it's this club or future projects, certainly can take advantage of, bigger strips, strip dies, or any of the dies that are out there. I know there's some new ones that just got released, as well as, a lot of holiday focused ones. Then if you wanted to get into the cubes, you can take advantage of buy one, get one 50% off. And then of course the Go Big bundle, which does come with the 2.5-inch strip die plus a cube, is $9.99 throughout through Saturday. So there you go. Okay, I think that's it with my specials. Yeah. We do have, I don't know, I know you showed it, right? The needle threader. Yeah, you talked
Yes.
about that already. Okay, so 15% off that needle threader. And Alyssa, can you throw me this? Did we already talk about? Yeah.
Carol did.
Oh, she already talked.
Yeah,
That's all right. I had to step away and took a phone call. But this is no matter what surgery you have, this is like the essentials for Serger tools.
And that would be
And-
15%.
Yes, it's normally 56, so 15% off. I don't know, you're 15% off. But often I think we get, when we take in trades, the tweezers always seem to be missing.
No one likes to return.
9 times out of 9, the tweezers are missing. And then the you get double eye needles, but anything to like get your threads out of the way when you're threading or changing stitches.
Y'all like to keep them.
There's a nice tool in for that. So, all right, let
They
me,
get buried in your sewing room.
yeah. Okay, I am going to pass this on to you, Carol. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And just as a reminder, with the email that comes out with the recording link for club, you'll have all the details on these specials, so you don't have to think too hard about the prices, etc.
Oh, yeah, and the flyers are in store.
Oh,
So
yeah, thank
If you
you.
come in, it's at we have a club table.
I'm going to just sit here and make sure you're doing a good job.
Oh, gee, thanks. I'm not nervous enough. Geez.
Come on, you've been doing this for a while.
Bye. Okay, while Scott was talking, I went ahead and set up for a cover stitch.
Yeah.
Because the cover stitch is what you're going to want to use when you want to quilt, when you want to use your serger to quilt.
We like her.
So just tested my cover to make sure I'm stitching okay. And I just went ahead and just put plain thread in because I have a sample here to show you. When you're using your cover stitch to quilt, now all the machines don't have a cover stitch, but if your machine does, this is the kind of stitching you can do. You're just putting a decorative thread in your chain stitch and then a regular thread in your needle. This is the back. This is how the back looks when you're stitching it.
So the underside is where that chain forms.
Yes, this is the front. So if I was stitching this, I would have it on my machine like this. I would be stitching like this and I'd be stitching from the back. Now on something like this, that would mean you don't know where you're stitching. You can't really see where your stitches are going to go. So you would have to take some time and do some measurements and some marking if you wanted your decorative threads to show on the front. But you can also go ahead and just stitch it with regular thread in both of them. Say I wanted to. And my needle thread is not in.
Which is like you would be quilting it.
I would be quilting. I'm using my cover stitch to quilt. And even though I'm threading the needle, I could have used my needle threader to be quick, but if I want to use my needle threader on my machine, I do have to have my tubes locked to tell it that I'm threading, or else it doesn't know. And you do have to set it up for threading, even though you're just using this, the tubes do have to be locked. Sometimes it's good when things happen so you can point things out. So. I'm inserting. My foot isn't down.
It's not down.
Haha.
Safety feature.
Another safety feature. And I'm
So you would recommend, Carol,
yes.
when using the chain stitch, using a more decorative thread or heavyweight thread typically to give it more body, or
If you want that look.
Yeah.
If you are just plain old want to quilt, then you can go ahead and you can use regular thread.
Okay.
And then it will look, if you're using regular thread, it's going to look the same on the top as it does on the bottom, except your one stitch is going to be a little bit more. You can see where it's decorative and looped. It's gonna give it a little heavier look to the stitch.
you know, and we all often talk about decorative threads. Serging is the 8 and 12 weight, but I think we don't need to forget about like Aurifil cotton 28 weight as well. It's not as heavy, but it's
Your threads.
No.
There.
I'm gonna go a little bit more so you can see. If you look at that thread, you can see that it's like looping and locking. And you're getting a,
So this is the back.
this is what
underside.
the underside.
Looks like.
And this is what it would look like if you used just regular thread. You would get that kind of a look on. But once again, that's the bottom.
Yes, yeah.
The top, it would just look like a straight stitch. And the thing is, if you're doing something, this is going to make the back of your quilt look kind of pretty.
Mhm.
You know, your quilt back is going to have a whole different look and be a lot nicer looking.
You wanted to know what foot?
The chain stitch foot. I'm chain stitching, so I'm using my chain stitch foot. And all the machines do not have a chain stitch. It's the higher machines will have a chain stitch. And then the last thing is we've talked many times about in clubs last year about putting on binding with your quilt. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on my binding with using the chain stitch, just for time's sake. And all I'm going to do, so I'm going to start kind of midway down and I'm going to leave a flap. I'm going to start stitching my binding on. When I get 1/4 of an inch from the edge, I'm going to make a little slit in my binding. And I'm going to pull it out of the way. So my fingers out of the way here. I've kind of, it's like this. I've folded it back. And that 1/4 inch cut. Didn't get a good cut. So I can fold it out of the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch right off the edge. I'm going to do my binding the same way I always did, folding it up. Folding it probably up at an angle, like this. I'll lay it down.
Where are we going?
Right here. So I've taken it and I folded it up like an angle. And then I'm folding it down so that it's even across there. And then I'm going to just continue and do the same thing, going down and do the same thing at every corner. When I come to where they join, that's kind of your choice. If you want to leave yourself a nice big area where you end, you can take it off and you can go ahead and do your cut, go to your sewing machine and put it together. If you're on a chain stitch, you can put it together on there with your angles, or you can just fold this under and tuck the other one in and go ahead and stitch right around. Pretty much depends on what you want to do. But as I'm doing the binding, I would put fusible thread in my machine, and I would have the fusible here. It would be, it's on your bottom. I mean, I normally don't use a chain stitch when I'm doing this. I basically wouldn't want to use a chain stitch when I'm doing this because I would use up too much of my fusible thread. But when I'm doing it, like let's say a 3-thread overlock or something, I would be putting fusible thread in my lower looper. So when I brought this around, this is fusible. When I bring this around and I press it, it is holding it in place for me to then go ahead and finish my binding, whether I hand stitch or top stitch or whatever. But something that would be kind of fun on this is if you were to attach this to the back of your quilt instead of the front of your quilt, when you bring it around, go ahead and take
Your pieces. I know you're going to show that.
yeah. I can find where I just kind of kept tossing things to the side
Oh,
here.
sorry. Okay.
Oops.
Something probably-
Mike. The red.
Your little red
Yeah.
pieces.
Well, I'll just talk about it. They might have gone back in the drawer or something. Anyhow, you could take what we did here and you could tuck
Oh, sorry.
Yep. what we did
They
here,
can't see there.
what we did here. You could take this piece and you could tuck it in here and it would hold
that
it.
wave
It
stitch
would
then.
hold it in place with the, and it would give it a nice decorative look. You could put a piece of rickrack in there for a little girl's quilt. And then you would have a nice little edge. You could just put a folded piece of another fabric in there and make it look like you have a flange. So there's a lot of things that you can play with. And the thing of it is, we're learning more and more. Don't automatically go to your sewing machine. Use your serger. And I think you're going to find your stitches stay in nicer. Even though it doesn't seem like it, they are easy to rip out. There's YouTube, go to YouTube and say, put in your stitch and say, how do I rip it out? And you're going to find 10 videos showing you how to do it. Some of them good, some of them not so good. And also on the AccuQuilt site, if you go to the AccuQuilt site, it's going to give you a lot of different tutorials. We just did straight binding. If you wanted to do your binding on the bias, there's a video on the AccuQuilt website that shows you how to fold your fabric before you lay it on your mat to have bias binding. And there's a whole bunch of patterns in there. And even if you buy some of the different shapes, you can get the embroidery designs to go with it. So a lot of information there. And we're always here if you have any questions. So that's pretty much it for today.
Okay. Any questions? We'll give you a minute to type them in or what have you. Yeah, we have a quiet group.
I hope you all learned something and something you can use. I know a couple people have said to me that they're doing all their bindings on the Serger now since we started doing that last year.
How long will this video be?
All of club season.
Okay, so we're gonna send it out via Zoom
First.
this morning.
Once it uploads.
Here's, yeah, we'll explain this. With
Oh,
the
okay,
technology, it takes a while to upload these videos, no matter what club it is or what class or what have you. So we're gonna go ahead and upload the video. Then we gotta download it. And then we gotta send it out with the link. If we can do it quickly, we'll send it out on YouTube. Depends on the length and the detail within the video. We will send the club flyer details out as well. If it takes a long time, we're going to first send it out with the Zoom link, which the Zoom link's only going to last till Saturday. But once we get you the YouTube link will last for the entire club season. So I know that's it's a little confusing. That's what we did last year. We're trying to jump right to YouTube, but what we found last embroidery club is it took
All day.
like, I don't know, 9-10 hours to upload the video. And we didn't want those that worked on Wednesday or maybe, didn't watch the live and was hoping to get home and put their pajamas on and watch it that evening to not have the video. So we, rushed the video out with the Zoom link. And I know it adds a little extra confusion, but we're trying to navigate the technology and get the information into your hands.
The
So
Zoom link will expire after 3 days though, because there's no room on that.
yeah, so the
That-
Zoom link, we only have control for 3 days, but the YouTube link will last the entire club season. So I think that answers the question.
And that is so nice because if you're not available to watch a club, you've got an appointment, you've got something going on, you can't watch it. It's so nice to have so many different avenues to go back and watch it. Or if there's something that you're like, okay,
What the hell
How
did
did-
Carol say?
yeah, what'd she do? You can always call me. Any other questions?
So Zoom link will say Zoom and the YouTube link says YouTube, correct?
Yes, in the emails. It
Yeah.
will.
So,
Oh, new question. Oh, thank you. Okay.
so when you read your email, please make sure you're reading if it says Zoom link or YouTube link. Like if you go back and click the Zoom link, it will not be available after Saturday. If you click the YouTube link, it should just roll and just start. So just make sure you're reading the email. You'll get both. Just make sure you're paying attention to the email. I do know a lot of Gmails, you have your emails grouped together and
Stack.
they're stacked. You got to go to the new recent one. So unstack your emails and you'll
Delete the Zoom one after Saturday and keep the
Yeah.
YouTube.
yes. Yep.
And I hope to see a lot of quotes next month. Come on, we got somebody coming in. We got to show them what great surgers we are.
Yeah, we definitely want to see some additional projects for
Good,
surge
good.
and share.
Yes.
Surge and share.
Yeah.
Everybody have a wonderful day.
Okay, thanks
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Till next time, take care.